Are you new to Dungeons & Dragons and trying to decide if you want to get the starter set or the player's handbook?
Today, we're going to help you figure out which one is right for you. Hey nerds, I'm Monty Martin.
And I'm Kelly McLaughlin.
And we are the Dungeon Dudes.
On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the differences between two of the main items you want to think about purchasing if you're new to Dungeons & Dragons.
These are the Player's Handbook
and the starter set.
These two items are both introductory products that contain the core rules for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. But there's some key differences between both the Player's Handbook and the starter set, which will make it different based on which one you want to purchase when you're starting out.
So with that, let's get rolling first.
Let's start off with the Player's Handbook because it's the more well-known, I think, of the two.
Awesome.
So the Player's Handbook is one of the 3 core rulebooks for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the other 2 being the Monster Manual and the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Now, one thing that I think about the Player's Handbook is essentially it's going to contain all of the rules that you need as a player. If you want to know how to make characters, pick your race, class, all of the spells, backgrounds, feats, there's so much information in there.
It's the core player resource because it has all of the core classes and all of their archetypes detailed in full from level 1 to level 20, as well as all the main spells that both players and dungeon masters will be using in the game. It also has the rules for combat, exploration, and social interaction.
I would say that every D&D table, as you get established into the game, need at least one of these books for everybody to take a look at and use.
Yeah, I think our table, we have a copy for almost every player, just so that we can all refer to them. The Player's Handbook retails for about $50 at your favorite local game store, although you might be able to get it online for substantially less. It's probably the book that you almost certainly want if you're mainly going to be playing Dungeons & Dragons and you want to be able to make your own characters. And every group will eventually want to get a copy.
Now, if we talk about the starter set, this is actually a really great way to start if you are going to be the DM for a new group and you've never done it before. The starter set has a bunch of stuff inside that we're going to take a look at.
Yeah, let's open it up. So the starter set, first of all, contains an entire set of polyhedral dice for playing Dungeons & Dragons. So we can just roll those all right out and start using them right out of the box.
So your first set of dice, you also get a small campaign that you can use called The Lost Mines of Phandelver that takes your players from level 1 to 5.
So you know, an adventure that lasts from level 1 to 5 takes anywhere from 8 to 10 sessions to play out. So if you're playing like every other week or even once a month, you've got like 6 months of game content to get through there.
You also get a much lighter version of the starter set rulebook, which has the key elements from the rulebook that you can use to get started. It doesn't have nearly as much depth as the Player's Handbook, but it's enough for you to run a game, create some characters, and do all the basic stuff.
Yeah, and finally there's 5 pre-generated characters available in the box. A wizard, cleric, a rogue, and 2 fighters, one a greatsword wielder and one an archer. These pre-generated characters all have all the rules on the back of them for leveling them up, as well as all the rules for the spells that they're going to be using, but nothing else. So you have to level up these characters according to the track that's contained on the sheet itself, unless you have a copy of the Player's Handbook of the basic rules. There's no rules in here for creating your own character.
And the starter set does retail for $20?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's a really, really good price for everything that you get in there, especially if you're just getting started with the game.
Yeah, I will say that you can also access the Dungeons & Dragons basic rules, which do have a little bit more character creation rules online for free through the Wizards of the Coast website. But if you have a regular board game group that you're already playing things like Settlers of Catan or Risk, Twilight Imperium with, and you want to kind of get them into role-playing games, the starter set is a really great thing to bring to game night, because if you want to pick it up as a dungeon master, you can dive right into the adventure and start running right with everything that's in the box. Whereas if you're a player and you're already going to be joining an existing game with an experienced dungeon master, the Player's Handbook is probably the way to go. What do you think?
I would agree that, starter set for brand new players or DMs, and the player's handbook if you're joining an established game is the exact right way to go with these.
Yeah, and I think either way, you're eventually going to want to get a copy of the player's handbook. It really is an essential resource. So, if you feel like that was able to help you decide between the player's handbook or the starter set, you can actually head on to Amazon by following the links below to pick up your copy right now. If you think you might need a few other items to get started playing Dungeons & Dragons, Kelly and I have actually made a short little video on the essential items and gear that we think every Dungeons & Dragons group really needs. You can check out that video right over here.
And if you want a more in-depth look at the adventure module that comes in the starter set, The Lost Mines of Phandelver, we have a video for that over here.
If you like what we're doing, you can become a patron of our show by following the link down below.
Please subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time
In the dungeon.